was a sex dungeon. Having grown up here, I can categorically say it's not a sex dungeon. It's more of a sex playground. We were sort of pretty much allowed to do what we wanted to do as kids, really. Sort of Blue Peter or BDSM. That was... So long as we were learning. That was the... What part of the horse is that, Tom? Well, you're going to find out. Yeah? It's very, very educational. Very, very educational. Also, love the idea that Naz thinks he's sleeping upstairs tonight. Have you seen Misery? Lynn's like Kathy Bates, but she doesn't kidnap writers, she kidnaps overly confident Southerners. Go upstairs, pal, it's just wrecked with people of a higher household income than people in this barn. Yeah, I'm glad Elliot pegged that he's our diversity hire for the night, because he is. It's a modern comedy lineup with 4 white men and 2 of us are called Tom. We are smashing it. Yeah, actually, I sound a bit posh. I went to like a state school. I got bullied all the time for being posh. I used to say to the kids, I'm not posh, I'm just coherent. Which goes down great. It goes even better when you offer to define coherent to them. Son's dictionary. I've constantly spent my whole life compensating for that. That's why I tried to dress trendy tonight. Not gonna lie, an avalanche of high school memory just like flooded. I make the slightest bit of effort, and a single woman's like, Hey Tom, why did you get stand-up comedy? Is it Sarah? I mean, it is Sarah, that is the reason I'm going to stand-up comedy. You're sorry?
Single Sarah.
Single Sarah. I mean, I'm not taking fashion advice from... Ramone's best Born to Run tribute band. So I caught a little glimpse of myself in the mirror, and I was like, despite my best efforts, I just looked like a leprechaun who was given a John Lewis gift card. That's all I look like. I feel like that's my essence, though. That's my aesthetic. It's a hard. I'm getting a bit older now. I'm in my mid-30s, and I've got what's called a dad bod. Which is a bit weird because I've also got a child's face. But that's actually the main reason I get dates with girls, because they look at me like, yeah, that looks like the face of a child I might want to have someday. It's like a little try before you buy. You have to experience it first. Actually, I had a birthday last week. I actually just turned 37. Thank you very much. I beat Jesus. So. It's not a big birthday, obviously, but I was out for a beer with my mates, and they were like, Tom, you've now sort of hit an age where you look like both a Catholic priest and the boy he molested. One of my mates was like, fucking hell, Woody, that is the most accurate thing anyone's ever said about Tom's face. Yeah, it's a burden. I'm very well aware I'm pretty much aging backwards. I'm at peak Benjamin Button, I think, currently. It is a bit of a burden carrying this little face. It gets me into trouble. It's basically the reason behind the story of the first time someone tried to kidnap me for sex. So this was years ago. I was in America. I was young. I had no money. I just graduated uni, and I looked like I just graduated the maternity ward. And I needed to get from LA to Vegas, so I didn't have any cash, so I posted on one of these rideshare ads on a website called Craigslist. Now, if you never use Craigslist, just imagine Gumtree, but with a much higher murder-to-user ratio. So imagine my 22-year-old face on there like, hiya, English guy, look at the slick rideshare, cheers. My accent softens since then. And within like a minute, I get this phone call from this guy, and he's like, oh my God, hi, is this Tom there? I was like, yeah. He's like, oh my God, this is Andrew. I'm calling you about the rideshare. I was like, oh, fantastic. So you're going to go from LA to Vegas, are you? He's like, no. I was wondering, do you want to come to Indiana at all? Now, for anyone who needs help with American geography, that's a bit like asking for a lift from Leeds to London and someone says, fancy Moscow? Like, it's about the same distance and it's about the same level of cultural appeal. Now, what happened next was, it was my fault, really. Because I should have just hung up, ended it there, but I didn't. Because of British phone etiquette, which follows the same rules as the Samaritans. In that we will stay on the line even if one of us wants to kill ourselves. Suicide's hilarious. So like, I didn't want to go to Indiana. Instead of Vegas, that's a ridiculous decision. I'm getting a stranger's car, driving 1,000 miles out of my way to a state with a far lower standard of stripper. That's no good. And I told Andy this, I relayed this to him. He was pretty disappointed. He was like, oh, that's a real shame, because me and my wife, we're swingers. And we just want to put your cute little butt in our van for a couple of weeks and just see what happens. Now, first rule of being an adorable little cherub, never get in the van. Never get in the van. But I was 22, so I didn't really know what a swinger was at that point. I thought it might have something to do with golf. And I was kind of right, in the sense that Andrew was interested in a long drive that led to a hole in one of us. Might be my favourite thing I've ever written, I think. So, thank you, sexy voice Martin, sound effects. I thought you just tapped top of your head then, that voice came out. So obviously I had to let Andrew down, obviously. But like, I couldn't give him a hard no, or like, send me a picture of your wife and maybe we can talk. I gave him the most British no possible, which was, no thank you, those dates don't work for me. As if like a scheduling conflict was going to be the only thing preventing you from being like the next star of Making a Murderer. Or like being on the next true crime podcast. Which would have been called Paddington Bear Lost in America. 100%. Episode 1, no more marmalade sandwiches. So like, despite that horrific ordeal, I actually lived in America for quite a long time. I spent like 5 years in New York, and one of the biggest things I noticed was dating was completely different over there. Like, British people don't date. We just get drunk in proximity often enough to have children. That's not dating. And like, dating went a bit better for me over there, which obviously has nothing to do with me, because I'm very well aware I look like a child's stuffed toy. So I always find it like hard to believe that a girl would walk into a bar and be like, damn, Paddington Bear, 12 o'clock. Step back, girls, Mama's gonna get herself a marmalade sandwich. I just didn't believe that was a thing on. Like the main reason I did a bit better with girls over there, 2 reasons. One, I'm from Yorkshire. Exactly. And when you're from God's county in a very religious country, that helps. But the main reason was because Game of Thrones was massive the whole time I lived there. So as a northerner, Jon Snow was 100% responsible for 75% of the sex I had in New York. I'm talking about the medieval heartthrob, by the way, not the newscaster. Because with this complexion, I can't pull off a tie-dye tie. But I'm like, I go on dates with girls and they're like, oh my God, you sound like Jon Snow. Are you like from north of the wall? And I said, no, because Jon's not. I mean, he goes north of the wall briefly in season 3, but he's from Winterfell. I mean, Dawn, technically, but... yeah, thank you for the giggle. That's a better reaction they got over there, because that little speech usually accounted for the 25% of the sex I didn't have. Because once a girl no longer believed I resembled Jon Snow, I was very much just James Corden. After a few whiskeys, Piers Morgan. It takes a few. Yeah, no, it was fun. It was fun living in a country where your accent is a natural aphrodisiac. Like, I got to go on dates with girls I would never go on dates with in the UK. 100%. My first date there was with this beautiful Puerto Rican girl called Ashley. And she looked a bit like a girl next door version of Jennifer Lopez. Sort of like Jenny if she stayed on the block. J-Lo middle class, that sort of vibe. And we're out, she's like, oh my God, I love your accent, where's it from? I was like, oh, it's from England. She's like, oh, so did you learn to speak English when you moved to America? I was like, sorry, what? She's like, oh my God, I'm so sorry, that's a dumb question. What language do they speak in England? I was like, wow, this is what you deserve for getting your hopes up, Tom, isn't it? But then she just leaned over and went, take me back to your place. Which, to be fair to Ashley, is in the top 5 conversation resuscitation moves of all time. And she knew I was keen, because there was a Tom-shaped hole in the wall before she could stand up. And we get into the cab, and I'm nervous. So I'm like, what does this girl want with me? I was like, this doesn't happen to me. I'm just a potato in a blazer. She's gorgeous. And all I could think the whole time, all I could think was, she is going to drug me and take a kidney. And then she leaned in and kissed me, and I remembered that I have 2 kidneys. So yeah, that is fast maths when you're that aroused, I promise you. So I get back to my place and proceed to have the kind of sex I'd only ever seen on the farm. Specifically that bit of the farm. By which I mean there was a lot of animalistic noises and my mother checked in from time to time. Like, even like amid all the lovemaking, I just couldn't get comfortable because I was still like, she doesn't, what does she want from me? Yeah, she's gonna film me. Am I gonna end up on a fetish website filmed like hariboboy.com? Is that where this goes? I bloody wish she'd film me, I tell you that. It was a personal best. Twice. And I only cried the second time. So, yeah, New York was great, obviously back dating in the UK now. I think dating at 37 is interesting. It's a bit like flying Ryanair. It's very clear this was not my first choice. My 25-year-old self would be horrified to know I was still doing it. And let's be honest, I got way too much baggage for it to be comfortable. But I think as you get older, you've got to be a bit more open-minded, you know? Like everyone's got a past. Like I've dated girls with small kids, would happily do it again. I love kids. Kids love me because they think I'm one of them. Every toddler I've ever met looks at me the same way. They're just like, he is the one who was promised. Like us, but big. He can reach high places and speak to the food givers. This one shall be our king. King of the Babies t-shirts are available outside. So I would happily date one with a small child again. I say what I would never do again is date one with a small dog. Now, don't get me wrong, I love dogs, love animals, I grew up on the farm, but obviously growing up on the farm, I'm used to like big animals, real animals, the kind of animals that can like win an argument with a look, you know? If you ever jumped into a field with a bull, they are excellent non-verbal communicators. The minute your feet hit the grass, they're just like... And you're like... Fuck off immediately, yeah, no, good. Yeah, clear, excellent, really good. So I think because of that, I find it hard to understand the way people treat small dogs, like somewhere between a handbag and a toddler. Because you'll never treat an animal on the farm like that, ever. Unless it's a calf, and they can be both. One farm in the front row's like, fucking right, they can. It's a joke about skinny animals, that's what that is. So the last guy I dated was with a small dog, had a Boston Terrier. Anyone got a Boston Terrier? No? They're basically like pugs, but with a much higher, unwarranted sense of self-confidence. Like, they have all the same attractive features pugs have, like flat nose, can't breathe, die early. Yeah, like, they're basically I think they have the same aesthetic and all the appeal of an inbred monarch. You know? That's all they are, like an inbreeding experiment. They're a dog that nature keeps saying no to, but white girls keep saying yes to. It's the only reason they exist. So when I was dating this girl, she had a small dog, and at the start of the relationship, I liked her, but didn't like the dog. Thought it was a bit weird. Like, he would like stare at me in the shower, yap at me all the time, and he was scared of cardboard. Very strange. So at the start, I liked her, didn't like him, perhaps because I was having sex with her and he wouldn't pat out, but you know. And it all started to turn around one day when she introduced herself to me as his mum. He's called Alfie. She's like, I'm Alfie's mum. And she made an Instagram account for him where she would post pictures of him and then write stuff for him, but like from her. So it'd be a picture of Alfie, and then under the picture it'd be like, Mum took me to the park today. Mum bought me a new snow jacket. Mum sure is lonely. And then to make matters worse, she would comment back from her main account on that account. That she'd already written. So she'd come back and be like, they grew up so fast. My boy's getting so big. Someone please help me, I'm broken inside. And things really came to a head one day when she tagged me in one of these posts as Alfie's daddy. And it made me really uncomfortable, and I said to her, like, I'm not okay with this. And she said, oh, would it be helpful if I called you his dad? And I was like, look, I've never had any human children, so no one's ever called me dad. Also, I'm 5'7", and no one's ever called me daddy. Absolutely not. It caused this huge fight. She called me an unsupportive parent, which was like being trapped in the weirdest Jeremy Kyle episode of all time. Is this not the child you want? This isn't even the species I want. And then I realised Alfie wasn't a dick. Alfie had been trying to warn me the whole time. Like, when he was staring at me in the shower, he was looking down at the space where his balls used to be, and he was like, you're next, buddy. He wasn't yapping random stuff, he was like, get out, get out, get out. And then the last piece of the puzzle fell into place. When in her apartment, she had a tiny shoebox with Alfie scribbled on the side. She used to make him sleep in the shoebox for the Instagram pictures. That's why he was scared of cardboard. He was living in a cardboard coffin. And as an animal lover, I thought that was disgraceful. And I told her so right after I took a picture of Alfie in the box. Because, you know, I'm a good guy, but content's content, you know what I mean? Like, can you imagine how much Instagram likes this face next to a puppy? The second time someone tried to kidnap me for sex. Pretty recently. This was like last year in America, just before I moved home. I was doing a gig down in Greensboro, North Carolina. If you've never been, there's no reason you should. If you've never been, just imagine Barnsley, but with more guns and fewer chromosomes. That's the vibe. That's the vibe in Greensboro. And I was doing this gig, and I could see someone in the front row clearly had the hots for me. You know, like giant heaving breasts, covered in barbecue sauce and hair. His name was Clarence. And Clarence was staring at me, but not he wanted to fight me. It was more like I was the last piece of chicken at a late night KFC. Just staring at me like, that pretty mouth is confusing me. I want to put a dress on him, do some bad things. You're laughing a little bit like, what? Like, it's dark inside there. So Clarence comes up to me after the show, and he's huge, absolutely massive. He was like, boy, the way you talk, shit, it was funny as hell. Let me buy you a drink. And I was like, no thanks. I've got an early flight back to New York tomorrow. It's like, I can tell you ain't from around here, but it's awful impolite to refuse a man when he's offering to buy you a drink. So we're still together. at all my jokes and is a gentle but attentive lover. Thank you, sir. Thank you. Thank you very much. You guys have been absolutely lovely. I've been Thomas Henry. I'm on Instagram. I'm on Twitter. I'll give you back to your lovely host. Now's everybody. Thanks a lot. Cheers.